Welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Brandon, and today we're looking at Memory Snow. Really excited the set is now out in English, and excited for the potential that it has in the community as well. With that in mind, let's just get started. First off, we have Snow Bunny. Snow Bunny, pay one, clock yourself one. Search for any card with Memory Snow on it. This deck comprised entirely of Memory Snow characters. So search for any character, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. Card is in memory. If you're looking for memory compression is big right now. This is a good way to do it. It's also a good way to get the cards you're looking for rather cheap cost, especially early on. Notably, this effect is on reverse, but it's only 500 power, so it makes it for an interesting card to put out in front early. So it's a really interesting card, and the tempo of the card, I think, is really helpful for moving the deck forward throughout this game. Next up, we have Memory Snow, Ram, and Rem. On play, reveal up to 3. Choose one Memory Snow character, put it into hand, west in the rating room. So on play mill, 2/5 base power, and allows you to a character to hand, a little bit of hand filter, not too bad. Our Brainstormer, salvage Brainstormer, pretty standard with that. No secondary effect, but the salvage Brainstorm is more than worth it for the deck. A Day to Remember Ram, it's a 1/1 6/5 on your turn, and as long as you have 2 other characters, you can put a Leave Everything to Me Rem into memory. She needs to be in memory for this deck, so this is a way to guarantee her into memory and have a character on field at the same time. So, not a terrible card. It's very helpful to get more Rems in, especially if you're going to play the memory compression game, since, as of the moment, there's basically nothing that's going to affect your memory in English, so stock up on memory while you can. This is a good way to do it. We have our 1/1 backup. It's a 1/1 2K backup, but top check, and if it's a character, draw one, discard one. So, helps you get some cancels pretty early on with level 1, and it also helps to keep level 1s in play. So, not terrible. It's an interesting card. Then next we have the Leave Everything to Me Rem. This is the card of the deck. This is the card of the set. When it's in memory, can't receive damage of 1 or less dealt by auto effects. So, all those burn ones, gone. Useless. Failed Musashis. Let's say they hit a climax. Charizard trying to burn for +1. Fail. So, fun, interesting card. Really helpful against burn 1 effects. So sorry to Dwarf Shaman, Goblin Slayer. Your time has come. The Mikasa burns. You're looking at Prisma Elia. I'm so sorry. But anyway, stuff like that. Stuff with the extra burn ones. It's done with this card in memory and all of your characters being Memory Snow. So, as long as those conditions are met, good to go. To get it into memory, you can actually, when on field, play one and look it up to top 3 cards of your deck, choose one character, put it into hand. So, it's a pay 1, look at 3, choose one that sends it to memory, and then the additional effects of being in memory are fantastic. Next up, we have That's Not It Rem. This is our level 1 combo. As long as you have 2 or more, it becomes a 5/5. And on attack, look up to the top 3, choose one, either character or the horrific mayonnaise human from among it, and put it into your hand. And then it becomes a +1 level until end of turn. Then it becomes technically a level 2, 5/5 on attack. With the climax, you're looking at 6/5 on attack. It's a little low on the power side, but especially with Snow Bunnies, you're able to get there early. Next up, Delightful Banquet Rem. This is our level 3 combo. On play, look it up to 3, choose one, and then as long as you have at least 2 or more of the Rems in memory, you may pay the cost, being 1. If so, look at up to 5 cards from the bottom of your opponent's deck, choose one climax from among them, put it into your opponent's clock, and put the rest into their waiting room. So this works really well when they are more compressed. Get rid of climaxes, and then swing for damage. So clocking climaxes, fantastic opportunity there. And then theoretically also frees you up to deal more damage to the deck as well. So that is an interesting card. It works better when your component is more compressed. Next up we have Dreamlike Scenery Rem and Amelia. When placed on stage, you can grant power. So hey look, hey Rem, guess what? You can have more power. Level 1 combo needs more power, there you go. You can also discard a climax and salvage a character. So it allows you to potentially loop your level 1 combo, getting more salvage, as well as granting power to get it bigger so it can beat things better. Next we have our Recognition Hindering Robe, Amelia. Really long name. Anyway, this is the more or less anti-early play backup. It allows you to put them at the bottom of the deck, so it helps you to get rid of those oppressive Shizus or the soon upcoming early play unions. So you're looking at getting early plays away, as well as for a realistically relatively cheap cost. Discard an additional character and pay an additional 1. So you're looking at a total of pay 2, discard 1 to get rid of your opponent's early play. And having the cards can be very threatening to the opponents as well. So it's definitely a good card to have in the deck. Next up we have Date Day Morning Amelia. It's our level 3 killer. Gets up to 13, 14 if you rest a character in the back. Especially if you want to delay a turn with the Rems because you want your opponent to be a little bit more compressed. This is a good way to force them to spend more stock, force them to get their resources out so that way you can finish the game. Next up we have the Horrific Mayonnaise Human we talked about before briefly. This is the event that allows you to look at top 7, choose one, either the level 1 combo or the climax for the level 1 combo, put it into hand, and then shuffle your deck. So it's a good way to search out the combo from deck and get the pieces you need, namely the climax. This is one of the very few ways to get climaxes from the deck into hand. So having this around to be able to pull the climax so you can repeat the combo, great way to do that. Next up we have the Dot Ram Memory Snow PR card. You on play, look at the top 2 of your opponent's deck, and then you put them back in the same order. And the additional effect, when damage dealt by this card is canceled, you may put it in your stock. So it's a card that not only can you see what your opponent has on top of their deck, you can then use that to your advantage. For example, if you see that they have climax on a certain spot, you can time it out so that way this card goes to stock for you. So that way you can build your stock, either see future damage or potential cancels. So it's a very fun card to have. It's a very good way to maximize the knowledge of your opponent's deck. Next up we have the 2 climaxes, the Praise Me aura, and the It's All Subaru's Fault climaxes. Praise Me aura for level 1, Subaru's Fault for level 3. They're combo cards respectively. Namely, it looks like Rem. As we look at the deck overall, listed above I have the numbers for each of the cards, how many in the deck, and then prices attached to it based off of jktcg.com pricing. So in total with all of it, you're looking at $375.50 USD. Now, a good chunk of that comes from the Leave Everything to Me Rem and the PR card. If you were to pick up Memory Snow and you can still pick up a playset for a decent amount, it may be worth it to pick up the playset and then find the PR cards, because it's not going to be too much more than what getting the playset would be worth. So that way you can also tech in other cards later as well if you're interested. I'm going to have a couple of those cards that are nice tech options depending on your local meta and what you want to see and what you want to do. But realistically, the objective of this deck, get Rem into memory. That is like the goal of the deck. Rem needs to be in memory. Level 1, really nice to help cycle that combo, just so you're constantly getting cards into hand. But realistically, a really good portion of the deck is to make your opponent's deck more difficult. You're trying to ruin their day. You're trying to take advantage of their compression. When they get really good compression, you're trying to stall out the game, in a sense, to make it work for you. You're trying to get rid of their early plays. You're trying to make it so that way when they get reverses, it's not just effective for them, it's also effective for you with the Snow Bunny. So when we look at it this from like a competitive standpoint, it's very anti-meta. It works better against decks that are trying to be really quote-unquote good. It works best against decks that are trying to decompress heavily, that are trying to burn you, that are trying to be the best at their own gameplay. Memory Snow is trying to foil that. Memory Snow is saying, no, you don't get to play the deck the way you want to. I'm going to change it up for you. These cards aren't the only ones that you could run in this deck. There are quite a few that are really good, but I would say are a little bit more meta-dependent. One option is this early play Amelia, the world reflected in her eyes Amelia. If you have 2 Rems in memory, she's an early play. She, on play, reveal the top card. If it's a level 0, put it into your stock. So she can put zeros into your stock, so that way she's less costed, and she heals 1. So if everything works out well, it's a pay 1, heal 1, which is great and fantastic. Especially with this deck and the way this deck looks, a lot of your zeros you're trying to get into memory already, so you're trying to remove them from your deck, you're trying to get rid of them. So your zero count is a lot lessened by this point, by the time that she's actually effective and are able to get into field. So the likelihood of you hitting that condition is not high. You still could, but it's not as high. So it's really more of a pay 2 heal 1. She doesn't have any other effects. She doesn't have any power pump. She doesn't really have any encore abilities. So she's really just a pay 2 heal 1. Especially with this deck, she didn't quite fit the mold of what the deck was trying to do. So I ended up cutting her from my deck. But this is definitely a card that people will be running. People will have that in their decks. So it's definitely worth noting and worth seeing. Another character as well that's worth talking about is this Brainstormer. Pay 1, rest 2 characters. If you reveal a climax, search your deck for a character, put it into hand. But the real interesting thing is during the climax phase or attack phase, when your opponent's character is placed on stage from waiting room, basically standby, essentially. All characters in the player's center stage get minus X power, X equal to the level of the character times 2000. You're looking at a card that says, oh, you're going to bring stuff on the stage? I'm sorry. No, you're going to take some power negs to do so. So if you're going to standby cards in, oh, by the way, your field's going to get minus power. Like, especially at level 1, you're standbying in a level 2 card, that's going to be minus 4,000 to your own front row to bring it in. Which if you do that, you're more likely to crash your characters and not survive. So it's a really interesting card that works really, really well in a standby meta. But if you don't have a standby meta, then this card's basically useless. So it's a really good tech option if you know you're going to go into a standby heavy meta. If your local meta has a lot of 8 standbys, because 8 standby exists and is a thing. Trying to double standby in the same turn from level 1 to level 2, you would lose 8,000 power. So killing just about everything that's under level 2. It's a very interesting card, very limited in its scope, but if you know you're going to be facing that, it's definitely worth it. And then this other level 1 as well, Hot Springs Operation Subaru, allows you to pay 1 to get the mayonnaise card back into hand. So that way you can continue to try to loop the combo. It's on play, so if you're having difficulty looping your level 1 combo, he helps. He helps to make that happen. I found that the combo can stick around depending on what you're facing with relative ease, but this card helps you if you're having some difficulties with that. It's a nice optional piece to make sure that your combo happens, because realistically that combo is going to propel you to the end game. That's a lot from Memory Snow. There's a lot of other fun, interesting pieces in the deck as well. The fun fact is that you can actually mix this in with the older stuff. So you could mix this in with earlier sets and play around with it. It's very trait locked, so you're going to want to pay attention either if it's only just getting Memory Snow stuff, or if it can get the magic trait to see if it can play nice with that too. There's a lot here, and it's a lot of fun. Just as a heads up, these are fun things that you want to be aware of as well. Like the yellow deck, the Super Wall deck, like there's other builds that exist. I found this to be the most fun and most entertaining to bring because of its capabilities of being this anti-meta opportunity. So, I mean, with that, looking forward to seeing you next time. We're going to have some gameplay on Thursday, so that way we can demonstrate what this deck even looks like. But until then, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.